Hey guys, it's Rogaway here, and I'm back with another tutorial. In the last tutorial, I went over the basics of tracing in Illustrator, and hopefully that made sense to you guys. You had a bit of chance or a bit of time to play around with it, and you had a chance to kind of mess around with Illustrator a bit. And this week we're going to look at how to actually fill in your traces and how to actually make it look more polished and more finished off. Alright, so I'm going to start with the file that I kind of left off with when I was talking about tracing last time, and that was that Stormtrooper. I don't know if you guys remember, but here he is. Here's the Stormtrooper, and as you can tell, I'm just going to pull my layers window out here. As you can see, I got the original, but I've also gone and put in the effort to actually trace this guy out. And if I go to View Outline, Command Y or Control Y on the PC, you can see now that I've got all these lines that I've created that have gone over the original lines of the original picture. Alright, I'm just going to go back to preview here. And so our guy, if I just turn off the trace layer, if you remember when I zoom in on him, you can see how pixelated he was. But now that I've actually gone and traced him with the pen tool, you can see how now he is nice and clear, and he has pretty much infinite resolution. Just so you know, when you're zoomed in like this, if you want to move around, you can press the space bar and move around that way. If you want to get back to the full view, Command 0 or Control 0 to get back out. So anyways, now that we've got the trace done and we've got it looking pretty decent, you'll notice that we just have the lines. Alright, we've literally just gone and traced the lines. We haven't done anything else. So, what I recommend you do, just to prove to you guys that we only have the lines, is what I'm going to do is I am going to actually lock the trace layer. And I'm going to make a new layer. I'm going to put this one down below just by clicking and dragging. And I'm just going to call this one background. Now, one cool thing I want to show you guys in Illustrator that you can do, which is going to be different than Photoshop, is let's say I forgot to put the original picture that I was tracing. Let's say I forgot to put it on its own layer. What you can do in Illustrator is you can just unlock it, click it. You see this little block that shows up on your layers? You can click that block and you can move that piece of that layer to whatever layer you want. Okay, so I just moved it down to there. But I'm going to undo that. I'm actually going to move it back up because it was in the right place. And I'm going to lock that layer again. I just wanted to show you that you can move pieces of your layers to wherever you want just by clicking them and then moving that block. On this background layer that I've created, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the rectangle tool. If you remember, I was showing you guys primitive shapes. Rectangle tool is kind of the first one in there. It's the fifth menu down. You got all your primitives there. I'm just going to take the rectangle tool. I'm going to actually go to my color palette, and if you don't see it, just go to Window Color. Okay, boom. Oops, and I just turned it off. I had it already. I'm going to go to my color palette. I'm going to pick a color for this rectangle. So I want to make sure I am on foreground or fill color. And I'm going to just create a color. Now, if you happen to see this, where it's a grayscale bar, you just go to the top right corner of this menu right here. Set it to something like RGB or CMYK. I'm going to go with CMYK, and I'm going to pick a color like a blue. And you're going to see why I'm doing this in a second. I'm going to drag a rectangle the entire size of my page. So I went from the top left corner down to the bottom right corner. And I've got a blue block now on the background layer. And I can just lock that up. And now I've got a blue background. Now the reason I want to do that is to show you something. If I go to the original layer, which is what I traced, and I turn it off, you will now see that my lines are basically transparent. Anywhere where I've got a piece inside here, it's going to be transparent. Or you may just have your lines showing whatever, but you are going to see that there's no actual color in here except for the color of the line itself. I've gone ahead and traced a few parts out here, maybe a little differently than you guys did, but basically I wanted to show you that you're only going to have your outlines with no colors actually in here. It's just a clear or transparent version of the picture that you're tracing. So let's turn the original back on. And now I'm going to go up to the trace layer. I'm going to unlock it. All right, so my trace layer is now unlocked. And now I've got access to all the lines on my trace layer. And I just want to show you something before I go into this. Some people, when they're learning Illustrator and they're not really sure how to color things in, I mean, there's nothing wrong with this technique. It's the way we did it for years and years and years. Basically, if I was using the pen tool and I was drawing a shape, something like this, well, then I could easily just go to my selection tool, click this piece, and fill it with whatever color I want just by clicking that and setting the color, right? I could do that fairly easy, you know, and change it to whatever I want. But it starts to become more complicated. It starts to become tricky when you've got pieces within pieces, and sometimes you don't always have an object that's completely closed off, or you've got multiple little pieces that it needs. There can be all sorts of issues with doing it that way. So I want to show you guys, in my opinion now, the correct way of doing it. First of all, we want to fill in all the areas of this Stormtrooper's body that needs to be white, because we can see that white is kind of the predominant color, I guess you could see, of this entire image. So I'm just going to actually zoom in one time so I can see all the little pieces that I don't want to miss anything here. And I'm going to go to my foreground color, my fill color, and I'm going to set it to white right away. Boom. Color is white. Here's a little trick. Now, I'm going to go back to my selection tool. I don't think that's entirely necessary, but I am going to go back to my selection tool. And I want to select all the lines that I've traced. Now, it's very important that your other layers are locked. So I can press Command A if I'm on a Mac, or I can press Control A if I'm on a PC. This will select every single line that I have traced. All right, all the vector lines that I've made. And then the shortcut to this little trick I'm going to show you is to press K. All right, and that's going to create, or it's going to activate the Live Paint bucket. I believe you can also find it down here in Object under Live Paint. You could do it there too. But here's how this works. What Live Paint is going to let you do is it's going to let you click to fill in your picture. Now, if I was to click right now, you'll see that it's defaulted back to black. All right, and I don't want black. I want it to become something else. But because Live Paint is kind of stupid, it could just be me, I have to start somewhere. So I'm going to actually click up here, or even in his eye, because his eye is black. I got to start this object as a Live Paint group. So let's click in his eye, because we know it's going to be black. Just to start. Now you'll notice what happens when I click. Now all of the areas that are surrounded by lines become fillable. Okay, fillable is not even a word, it doesn't matter. But it's going to fill with whatever color I have in that little block. Do you see that little block that's following the tool around? So we know that the Stormtrooper needs to be white, his suit needs to be white, so let's go to the fill color, double click, set it to white. White's in the top left corner, hit OK. And now we can start clicking. Oh, you can see the little pieces I missed. I'm going to start clicking, and now you'll notice nothing really changes. I'm clicking, but I don't really see anything happening. That's because we are filling it in directly over top of the original. Okay? And why is that important? Well, we're not going to really be able to see what we're doing if the original's on, so let's turn it off temporarily. And now you'll be able to see what we're actually filling in. So I'm going to click. I'm going to click. I'm basically going to click everywhere on the Stormtrooper that was white. And I can go back and turn on my original just for reference so I know I don't miss any little pieces. But I can kind of go back and forth and see exactly what needs to be filled in. So this is going to take a couple minutes here. Let me just do this quick. It shouldn't be too long here. I'm just going to go and click, click, click. Make sure I don't miss anything. Click, click, click. As you can see, you can go quite quickly here. Now the cool thing about Live Paint is that what it's doing is every time you click, it is creating a separate vector object for every space that you are filling. And what I mean by that, I'm going to show you right away. I'm going to demonstrate, but I think that's all the white areas. Oh, no, I missed a few. Here, here, and here. Okay, whoops, I also missed here and here. But you see, by turning on and turning off the original, you can see that pretty easily. Okay, so you can see that I've got more or less the colors for the white filled in, and if I go to the selection tool and I just kind of click off of it, you can see how awesome that's starting to look. I see I missed a little piece there. Now what happens when we want to pick a color other than white? Something easy. Let's say we turn on the original, we want something like this sort of brownish color, which is not super, easy. You could fake it, you can make one similar, but let's say you want the exact color. Once again, I'm going to press Command A. I'm going to select it. I'm going to go to K, press the K key to start my Live Paint, but this time I'm going to go to my fill, and I'm going to actually before I do that, I'm going to show you a different way of doing it because this won't work. Like I said, I can kind of guess at it. I can get a color close. It's not going to be perfect, okay? I mean, that's close, but it's not perfect. Let's just hit cancel for a sec. Okay, go to the selection tool, turn off the trace layer. You know what? You don't have to turn off the trace layer. Click the selection tool, click anywhere outside of this guy, and he'll get deselected. Then press the I key. I. Shortcut for eyedropper. It's kind of cheesy that they used I instead of E, but hey, makes sense. Eyedropper. Then we're going to click in the color that we want, and you see what it does? It sets the fill color to this color that we clicked. Okay, there it is. Now, jump back onto your selection tool, press Command A, press K once again, and you'll notice that our color, it remembers the color that we just selected, and we can keep clicking. Now, there might be an easier way to do that. If there is, you can comment and let me know. I know you can make swatches for all the colors that are used in the picture, but this way is actually pretty quick once you get the hang of it. So now we got the brown done. We got a darker brown there. It's also a darker brown in here, so let's do that. So once again, selection tool, click off of it, press I, choose the darker brown, hit the selection tool, Command A, press K, there it is, click and click. And now, all we've got left to do is the gun. Okay, because you can see he's filling in quite nicely. Oh, actually we've got a little red dot there too. So let's maybe go with white because I missed a little piece there. Selection, Command A, K, click that little piece. We don't want to miss that little piece. And then same deal, I, click. Oh, it doesn't like that one. Let's just turn off the trace. I, come on. Try that again. It does not like, okay, there we go, I got it. All right, that was a weird one. Turn it back on. Press Command A, K, click. I got the little red dot there. You can see now all that we got left is the gun. All right, so it's quite repetitive. All right, but I'll do the gun anyways. I'm going to press I. I'm going to pick up that color. It becomes my fill color. I'm going to go back to selection tool. Shortcut is V, by the way, if you want to switch back. Press Command or Control A, select all your lines. Press K, and just start clicking in to fill in all those little pieces of the gun that you missed. Now, if you want my trace file, I'll have it available to you guys, so you can find it somewhere, probably in our drive that will be attached. Okay, and I'm just gonna click, 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 and this little piece here, boom. Now check it out. Once I'm done, I go to my selection tool, click off of them, and as you can see, that is a beautiful, and I'm not just saying it because I did it, that is a beautiful, clean, vector version of this Stormtrooper. Now, one thing you'll notice is when you use live paint, remember what I said, that every time you click, you're creating a separate piece. Okay, you're creating a separate shape. And if you want access to those shapes, if you want access to those pieces that it creates, I'll show you how to do it. When you click on this guy, you're going to see just kind of these weird sort of star-filled blocks in here. So what you do with that selection, you go to Object, you go to Expand, and just hit OK. And I'm going to have to ungroup it a few times. It's kind of weird, but you got to go ungroup, ungroup, and that's it, twice for this one. But now watch what happens. Now, all these little pieces that I had in here, all these little clicks that I made with the live paint, those are the actual objects that it created in order to fill those pieces. All right, and those would be very difficult to create if you had to do it just with the pen tool and you had to draw them or create shapes where that actually was, you know, filled in, right? It would be quite difficult. So that's why the live paint helps a lot, and the result, the final result, looks amazing. Now we could take this Stormtrooper guy, we could scale him as big or as small as we want, and he's gonna look amazing no matter what. All right, no matter what size. So if I needed him like for maybe something like maybe I was going to use him in a game or something, or a small little graphic. Well, there he is. Even at that size, like I said, no matter what size he's at, he's always going to be nice and clear. All right. So that's the big advantage of vectorizing things. It looks great on t-shirts, looks great on stickers and all sorts of stuff where it needs to change size. Anyways, I hope you found that useful, guys. Make sure you apply that to your traces. And if you got any questions, be sure to comment down below. I will help you out with anything you may be wondering how to do. Till next time, thanks for watching.